What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury. Get this. Tyson Fury says the punishment from Wilder trilogy is the reason for his retirement. Wow. Tyson Fury says what initiated his decision to retire from boxing was the heavy punishment he absorbed in his trilogy fight against former WBC heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder last October. After the contest, which saw Fury 32-0 with 23 KOs with one draw, dropped twice in the fourth and seemingly knocked out, he said he had suffered a concussion and had lumps on his head from Wilder's fists. Despite Fury's bellyaching about the beating he took from the 6'7" Deontay Wilder last October, he hasn't vacated his WBC title. It appears he's in a holding pattern waiting to see if Anthony Joshua defeats Alexander Usyk in their rematch. If Joshua wins, Fury will come out, as we know, of his so-called retirement because there's a mountain of green that he can make in between bars, which would be a big deal for the Brits, but much less so to the Americans. As Eddie Hearn points out, if Usyk beats Joshua, Fury will stay retired because he doesn't fancy that fight. Ultimately, Fury won the fight by an 11th round knockout in stopping an exhausted Deontay Wilder, but the boxing fans feel that the Gypsy King was given a long count in the fourth, thus saving him from being stopped. In other words, Wilder should have won that fight, as many fans also feel about the first contest in which Fury was knocked out cold by the Bronze Bomber in the 12th round and shockingly given a count while he was knocked out. Let me counterpunch. I think that Tyson Fury saying what he's saying is telling us a lot. It's telling us a lot about who he is. Is telling us that he's not the fighter that we thought he was. Why? Because if he says that's the real reason, why would then he would turn around and say Deontay Wilder should retire because he doesn't know what he has left? Well, obviously, if you're saying this now, you should be promoting the idea of Deontay Wilder coming back to the sport of boxing. But I think it all circles around the fact that if Tyson Fury is truthful about his decision because Deontay Wilder done this, I think Deontay Wilder would be more valued coming back to the sport of boxing, knowing, hey, I am the reason why Tyson Fury retired. Because if we go back on memory lane, Deontay Wilder took credit for the lack of participation or the lack of fighting ability Tyson Fury had with Otto Wallin. As you guys can remember, he said that, hey, I'm the reason why he's fighting like that. I'm the reason why he looks like he's overtrained. I am this reason why Tyson Fury is fighting the way he is, because the way I hit him, I gave him a concussion. I almost killed him, I feel. And really what made it so much convincing is what John Fury said about Tyson Fury himself at that same time. He said he didn't like the idea of Tyson Fury taking punishment like that from Deontay Wilder because, of course, Deontay Wilder also was undefeated and he also had one draw. Okay, they shared that draw apiece. Okay, and for him saying that, he was just saying, like, you know what? I don't want my son to take this punishment, so he should retire. So I think from that drug out, hellified fight they had in the trilogy, I think Tyson Fury started listening to his dad a little bit. I think he didn't really like the idea of getting hit like that. But then here's the thing. If you feel like that one guy has done you like that, I think it's more of a give and take. You know, it's more like, hey, both of these guys canceled out each other. Because if Tyson Fury's saying I decided to retire because of that particular beating, well, that tells you, what do you fear in the future? You know, we did hear Tyson Fury talk about, you know, being in good health and not wanting to take damage and not, you know, wanting to be his health, putting his health on the line. Well, I think if he feels that way, I feel that Tyson Fury should be truthful and not talk as much shit as he does. Why? Because you're saying that, oh, well, this is the reason why I decided to retire, because of how a guy hit me and hurt me and damaged me and whatever, and I don't want to be taking that type of shit anymore like that from anybody else. And then you'll turn around and say, well, you know what? He's a bum. I can beat him with one hand tied behind my back, and all these other people. So stop. If this is the reason you decided to retire, let it be that. Because you know he didn't take any damage in the Dillian White fight, so we can't go there. We can't look for that for a source or for a reason. So like with Tyson Fury, though, saying these type of things, I feel it gives Deontay Wilder more credit than anything else, because Wilder, was the one that inflicted the damage that made him think twice and eventually getting out of the sport of boxing to only fight one fighter. Think about what Tyson Fury's done. You guys seen it. He's trying to only fight one fighter. He's not trying to fight the winner out of those fights if Alexander Usyk wins. Why? Because Alexander Usyk is a volume puncher, and it makes sense. Volume punchers are the type of punchers that will give you the most damage. Why? Because they're hitting you the most. They're not hitting you the hardest, they're hitting you the most. And I think someone that can hit you harder, they can spare you by knocking you the hell out. Versus somebody that constantly hits you round after round after round after round can put permanent damage upon you. Why? Because it's constant damage, it's constant violence to your brain. You're getting hit like that. Would you rather get hit with a guy that hits you one time at 100% or versus a guy that can hit you with 60% all damn night long? Okay? I would take B for 100, Alex, because you don't want to get constantly beat like that. That's why he doesn't want to take on someone like Usyk, because if Usyk beats Joshua, his momentum is higher. He's not talking about retire. He's been to war. And you don't know what gears that Alexander Usyk still has in the heavyweight division. And I think Tyson Fury's weary of that. I know he's like, hey, I don't want to do that. I don't want to take that. But in return, now it makes sense. Okay, Wilder, I do not want you to come back to the sport because I don't want you to outdo me. Now, especially knowing what we know, honestly, I think Tyson Fury shouldn't have even said this to anybody, but hey, it's too late. Now we know. You know what I mean? Now, this is one of the legitimate reasons why you decided to get the sport out of boxing, or get the hell out of boxing, and his name is Deontay Wilder. So if that doesn't hype Wilder up, I don't know what does. You guys tell me what you think about Tyson Fury deciding to retire because of the damage that he took from Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder in the trilogy. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.